Hey everyone, I'm that girl from Jersey, Erin Saxton, and thank you so much for joining us here. I have Dr. Heather Denniston with us today, and she's been a friend of mine for what seems like a really long time because we're just kindred spirits. But in truth, we haven't been friends for that long, but I sense that we're going to be seeing a lot more of each other in the future. She is a seasoned chiropractic doctor with an additional certification in wellness chiropractic. She has a wellness program called the Cave, and she has this book that is amazing called the 3-Day Reset Program. How did I do?
You did great. That was
There's
awesome.
way more. And so I've invited Heather to just keep adding to her credentials, because what she's about to tell you, knowing this woman, has all been vetted and everything like that. And so, if she says it, it's true.
Oh my goodness. You told me we're just going to have a conversation. Now I was supposed to prepare.
No. And trust me, this woman prepares. Like, she's texting me over the weekend, like algorithms of questions. And I was like, this woman is such a student of greatness, and I appreciate that. I need more people like that in my life. Here's what I want to know. You have a rock solid brand. When you go visit your website, your Instagram channel, where can everybody find you?
It's Well Fit and Fed.
Perfect, right?
Yes.
So I go to Well Fit and Fed, and you have like a rock star following, like lots of people, lots of social engagement, lots of community. And I thought to myself, how did someone like this get this start? Because you were a chiropractor at a office. So how does one go from that to Shazam? How do you do that?
Oh my goodness. Yes. Well, I practiced in brick and mortar sense of the word practice for about 20 years. And about the last 2 years, well, I'll tell you a story. That I have a good friend who's a chiropractor, and when her kids were little, she taught them, because kids have a hard time expressing their feelings or understanding their feelings, she taught them the following. She said, when you pet a cat and you pet it the right way, it feels good. It feels good to you. It feels good to the cat. When you brush a cat the wrong way, it doesn't feel good. You don't feel good. And what I can say is all of a sudden my cat fur was running the wrong way. And I was like,
tempting me. There's some cat jokes there. There's inappropriate cat references that she's just trying to make me say, but I won't.
What?
No, I'm heard about
my goodness.
Listen,
wow.
You gotta really be careful how you rub your cat.
Okay, I'm going to just skip over that and tell you that in the last couple of years of practice, it just felt like things were shifting for me. And I've learned over the years to really tune into that. And I think a lot of folks are running so fast and so busy that inner voice sometimes just gets shoved down and the volume gets turned down and we just don't hear it. And some of the greatest changes I've made in my life have come from listening to that and making that scary shift. So I said, I'm going to sell my practice. And my husband said, great, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to go online and write stuff. And he said, okay. And so I jumped ship and I just started writing, and I realized very quickly I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And so I started attending some seminars on onlineprenuership and blogging and all of that. And I felt like such a little baby, and it took a lot of time to learn that stuff, but it's been a labor of love, and I've absolutely just been passionate and enjoyed it equally as much as I did brick and mortar practice.
Well, I mean, you're doing a great job. I see you all the time on online, and you're hiking and you're eating well. I mean, you really are your brand. You live it consistently through and through. You're not this closet binge yucky eater. I'm not saying you don't indulge or whatever, but I know, because we have a mutual friend, that for your health you need to eat a certain way, and for your lifestyle and for your nervous system and stuff, if you don't do that, it's like going against the grain, so to speak. Would you agree that would be true for everybody?
Yes. And can I just make 2 comments on that? One, I am a binger. It's a long-standing issue with me. It's what kind of got me into all of this in the first place. So I don't want to gloss over that. So
Okay.
definitely a clinical binger. It's an addiction. You never completely get over it. You learn to work with it and live with it. It's a big part of why I'm passionate of what I do, because a lot of us have these health and food behaviors that are very difficult to deal with. So we can touch on that later. But yes, I would agree, Erin. And I think the bigger thing that I work with clients on kind of bridging that transition is it's not just about, I want my nervous system to work well. I want to be fit. If you are not optimizing your health, you are experiencing your life in a dimmer way. You are not seeing sunsets the same. You are not interacting with your grandchildren in the same way. You are not tasting food in the same way. Your life experience is dimmer as a result of the choices that you make every single day in regard to your wellness. And so that's typically where I start, because I think most of us get, yeah, I'd just be healthier if I ate better. But do you know that your life is different? Like your whole experience, your energy that you are putting out and taking in is different. Yeah. And so I think that's really key to be aware of as well.
You know what I most appreciate, so this is a 2-parter, and I'll ask both parts and then just let you go with it. But I've always appreciated when I've read your posts or videos, or we've had conversations, you're very outspoken, very transparent about any anxiety you could endure or have experienced, as well as chronic pain. Mm-hmm. And I will say that I appreciate that, because for me, I do experience that also. Not as much as the chronic pain as I do this self-induced, I don't know if it's anxiety, but it feels like I'm getting a bear hug around my chest sometimes. And
yes.
You know, it's almost like a blood pressure cuff around my whole chest area. And so at first I thought I needed to go to a cardiologist. So I went to a cardiologist, and then I was like, oh, it's anxiety. So I took some of those, hey, swallow this, and within an hour you'll be zen. And the feeling didn't subside. Mm-hmm. Go away. So I think that it's a mixture. Well, I know it's a mixture because I have met with a few doctors now, and I'm fine and I'm healthy. Yeah. But I'm aware now. Yes. And so I appreciate when somebody else who seemingly has it all together, because that's the biggest mistake people make about me, is they think because I'm busy, and they may misunderstand that this circus chaos is me having it all together. And I don't necessarily have anything together, but I'm also not winging all of it. So I noticed that. So part 1 is, please let's talk about anxiety, and maybe that stems also to what we just talked about with the binging. But the part 2 of that is, I know better. I know my health needs to be better, but I don't think I care a lot about it. I care when I'm laying out flat or breathing into a paper bag. I don't know, I'm laughing. That did happen to me one time, like about 10 years ago, full on, like, but as an entrepreneur, as a mom, I was going through a divorce, and not one thing I think causes any of this, but health, my fitness, my weight, and I've made some good health changes this summer, but it's never my priority. And I wish I could change that, but I can't. Not yet. Maybe you can. So ready? Talk.
So the anxiety piece, you and I had very similar experience. I couldn't get a full breath in, and I had numbness and tingling in my fingers. I also thought I was having a cardiac arrest, and realized that it was a form of anxiety. And for me, I thought, well, anxiety is a symptom. Let's figure out what's beneath it. And typically for a lot of folks, there's some sort of fear component beneath anxiety. And so we need to explore that. For me, what I identified was I was an introvert living in an extrovert's body, and I was disrespecting that girl. And so I needed to connect with my introvert and say, what do you need? And and she spoke and she said, you need more breaks, you need downtime. My fitness is my chance to process independently. And so that really helps from a brain perspective. But I think anxiety is so common right now. You know, my husband and I just spent 3 months in Spain, and coming back, it was like being hit in the face with a fire hose. The pace that we run and what we try to do in a day is insane. And so it's no wonder anxiety is such a big issue right now, but there's ways that we can deal with it. Again, for many people, it's an ongoing management. It's not a cure. And there's all sorts of things that we can address to that. And everything from supplementation to meditation, to exercise, to sleep, to just kind of how we're scheduling our day, efficiencies, productivity, things like that. So I absolutely still deal with it a lot, but I think I find, having dug beneath the surface a little bit, when it shows up, I'm like, oh, I know what part of you is about, and I can address that. And sometimes I just I have some breathing, or I have, but for the most part, it is so much better.
Right.
Thank you. Your second part of the question, I find with clients, I work with a lot of executive CEO type women, high-paced women, entrepreneurial women like yourself. And really the big thing is digging down to a wellness why. And that sounds superfluous, but the process is interesting. I'll give you an example.
Please.
I was working with a woman, and she's about 60, in a very fast-paced business, and she said sort of the same thing that you did. And so we were working together, and I said, we need to come up with a wellness why. She thought it was a silly exercise. I said, I want you to just write a statement of why you want to be healthy. She said, well, because it's important. Why is it important? And we started to why it down. And so we just kept saying, why? And we dug deeper, and she said, well, because I want to be able to, hang out with my grandkids. Why? Because they're important to me. Why? Because and this is where, and she started to get teary. I started to get teary.
I'm getting teary, and I don't know what she's about to say.
She said, I don't ever want to say no to an interaction or experience I can have with them because of my health. I said, there
Wow.
we go.
That's awesome.
And so
that worked.
And I have goosebumps. Yeah. And so we took that and said, let's use that for when we're setting strategy for your nutrition or your fitness. Let's keep coming back to that, because that will get you out of bed at 5 to get to a workout. That will get you out of, that will help you do a 2-hour meal prep on a Sunday or whatever. And it's tiny baby steps. This is a long game, not a 21-day this or a 30-day that. It's a long game. It's small shifts sustained over time.
What do you think our over 40 crowd, we're running around where our kids are, we all have different, but they're college, or we don't have kids, or we have husbands and we have dogs. We have we have goldfish. I have a very needy goldfish. No, but we always have these things around us. And if it's not a living thing, it's something that we've given so much energy to that we make it more important than us. But
yes.
What are our important things that the 40-plus-year-olds need to keep in mind with either staying on track with wellness or just getting on track, or heck, even thinking, oh, there's a track. Like oh, wait, there's a track.
Yeah.
I'm just plowing through life right now. And I have no wellness why. Obviously I'll call you after the show and we'll figure it out. Or we could do it here sometime. I'm fine with it, transparent. But I think that there's some things that we need to know over 40 that we just need to keep in mind. Do we have any advice there from that?
Yeah, I think we are a unique group of women over 40 compared to women in their 20s and 30s, or anybody, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, okay? The wellness why is key. Also, we aren't born experts in this. And so surrounding yourself with a small team of wellness influencers that you trust and can keep going back to, and that might be a physical therapist. It might be a chiropractor. It might be a naturopath. It might be a coworker who's just really got her act together and can be an accountability partner for you. But you establish a team around you, a pit crew, so to speak, who can help you, because this is very tough to do on our own. And we need people to be able to speak in, teach us, and allow us to kind of make those little steps forward and support us along the way. I think also, this is going to sound crazy, but in counseling, we talk about connect with your inner child and have a conversation with her. I say connect with your inner septuagenarian. Okay, sit down on a park bench, have a freaking conversation with you at 70 or 80, ask them what they want, what they need, how they want their life to look, and work backwards, because it starts now. We don't suddenly.
Never thought of that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she's going to tell you.
She's going to be mad at me.
She's going to tell you to stay mobile. She's going to tell you, don't freak out about everything. Let's, just eat as well as we can. The 80-20 rule. Let's be gentle and kind to ourselves. That's probably one of the biggest things. The women in our group, we're at our busiest. We're kind of in the teens and college, kids, and we're doing, it is an opportunity for us to be so hard on ourselves. And I think one of the first steps is to start to turn inward with kindness and love. Wow. And I think the final thing is understanding what true self-care is, because I think there's a mismessaging that go and have a bubble bath, and book a massage. And that's lovely. It's not true self-care. True self-care
is self-care.
Yeah.
Somebody said to me the other day, so I scheduled a self-care appointment to get my roots done. And I thought, when did we add that? And I'm not saying, listen, just go to the salon to get your roots done. But we're tagging, and I'm not saying I don't know what I feel about it, but I'm just saying I loved it because I was like, oh, self-care to get my roots done. I'm just like, my grays are showing. I need, I don't know. I'm always bashing myself and as to why I need to fix something. So I need to fix that. But what is this self-care language we're speaking these days?
It's gone a little crazy. And I think it is a false curtain in front of what actually the work we need to do. So getting in the bath and going to get your roots done, it feels good for about 25 minutes. And then you're back to feeling too much sense of urgency, adrenal fatigue, not good about yourself, or whatever it is. So true self-care is learning how to love yourself passionately, learning how to be kind to yourself, learning how to put yourself first for your own health and wellness needs so that you can be fully present for those that you love, and being in very incredibly back and forth loving relationships, but not 1,000 of them, 2 or 3 of them, and so that is true self-care, is working on those things. Those other things are lovely. But if we're not attending to our hearts and we're not attending to our sort of our deep inner sense of wellness, it's going to just feel like a short-term experience.
Yeah. It's just a quick drive-through manicure at that point.
Yeah.
That's still, so you're a mess, but you don't have dark roots.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's scarier to, it's scarier to start to attend to the things about how much do I actually love myself, and why are there things that I tell myself that aren't actually true, like I'm ugly or I'm fat or I'm, any of those things. Why am I having those inner conversations? Those are important questions to ask.
Well, in fact, it's like you're reading my mind, because I do want to talk about these inner conversations. And I'm wondering if the inner conversation I tell myself, I'm very two-faced to myself, right? Mm-hmm. I'm very good at that devil angel kind of thing, because I say I want to be thin and fit. I have no idea what my wellness why is, though I will find out. But I do know that, recently, within the past 3 years or 4 years, I lost 100 pounds and I gained 25 back. Mm-hmm. So there was no talk, no chatter, nothing going on when I was down the 100 pounds. I was like a darn brat about it. Like, no pre-thought. Everybody said, well, you want to go to a pool? Sure. No, like, oh my gosh, do I have a cute cover up? None of that. I was silent. It was, I will tell you now, it was beautiful. I must have hated it because I allowed 25 pounds. Heck, who am I kidding? 30 pounds. No, 35, screw it, maybe even 40. To combat, no more than 40 though, for sure. I'd love the drama for the show, but really, it's probably about 33 pounds. Like if I could go like this and lose 33, I would stop. Like now what I'm saying in my head is kind of like, you're just an idiot. Like, I can't believe you got down. Now it's the, I mean, I am kicking my ass in my head with the talk. It's unfortunate. And I've started to walk. Like I'll be walking like 4 miles at a very fast pace.
Great.
An hour and a half. I mean, really, I hire a trainer just to walk with me now.
Great. That's your pit crew.
Right. Yeah. Mike Silva is definitely heading up the pit crew. He has me starting intermittent fasting,
Yay.
which so sometimes I just want him to like define that for me. And I'm like, well, anyway, whatever. Of course I try to sabotage it all along the way, but if I could shut her up in my head, or if I could just, and I've tried to do the meditation where I go in and I hug her and I give her love. I just want to give her like the finger, honestly, because she's just an ass now. Yeah. And she's in the way. And yet I must be listening to her because I might have released 10 of the 33 pounds. But, so what do you do with her? Because I'm going to kill her. And yet really in essence, I'm killing myself slowly because now instead of being joyful, I go out to a dinner and I'm like, oh, everyone's thinner than me, and then the fat girl's jolly, I'm like a bad episode of This Is Us without like a great moment at the end. So I'm just like, I'm the jolly without like the shift at the end of it. So can you help me? Like, what should we do about this?
Well, that is obviously, I mean, this is a common issue and it's often layers and layers and layers. And so one of the things I typically start with is a concept of the enabler and the encourager. So the enabler is, she's the girl that kind of, if you have this girlfriend who you are, Erin, I'll use your intermittent fasting. You're intermittent fasting, she knows you're intermittent fasting, but she shows up at your door at 9 in the morning with donuts and coffee and says, oh, come on, you can just do this like this one time, right? Like it's no big deal. Yeah. That's your enabler, okay? Almost worse than an inner bully because she's subtle and but she doesn't have your best interest at heart. So that's the enabler. The encourager is the girl goes, no, come on, Erin, you can do this. Let's go for a walk. I'll go with you. You are amazing. You are beautiful and perfect in any size. And that's the encourager. And so what I coach people is I'm like, delineate between the two, listen, and they can't both typically talk at the same time. So then we focus on encourager type statements that if we just have to keep saying them out loud or we just hear them in our head, we just keep saying them and we keep practicing them. Okay. And the other thing that I typically work with is I will say, yeah, just look at her and go, yep, and I'm doing it anyway. So yes, I hear you and I'm going for a walk anyway. Yes, I hear you and I'm gonna go ahead and eat this one time. And yes, I made a mistake, but I'm back on today. And
so acknowledge even the encourager if you side with the enabler.
Other way around. So if that enabler is super loud and she's just, and then go ahead and, say, yeah, I hear you, girl. And you've alluded to this, and it may or may not work for everybody, but I do think it's a powerful conversation to have and focus on building that encourager's voice and statements that she can say that kind of drown out the other one. But this is an ongoing process, obviously, and typically more amplified for women than men. And we have to keep working on structure to, it's kind of like if you have all the wellness stuff built into your schedule and it's just a non-negotiable appointment with yourself, then whether the enabler is screaming at you or the encourager is encouraging you, you're doing it anyway. So you have, you've got your walking buddy, you're going to still go and you're going to get the benefit from that. Even if you started out feeling like, oh, why now I have to do this, it's gonna, you're gonna still be able to. So I think non-negotiable appointments where you do it anyway and really focus on encourager type statements.
The enabler comes to the workouts. I don't ask her to, but then she comes to the workouts and she's the one that is like, you need to tie your shoe. You need to stop. that left shoe, it's feeling tight. So we
Yeah.
get, the encourager and I get on the workout. The enabler flipping comes, which we don't invite her. And then she's like, well, okay, now we're not eating donuts at 9 a.m. We're on this walk. So let me just try and zing it there. Like, well, she untied my shoe today. I had to stop. There was a dog who needed me. I had to stop and pet the dog.
I think one thing too
really is, I don't like her at all.
I know. And I think she's much louder in the absence of a solid wellness why. So getting back to doing that kind of work where you understand, why am I deeply, deeply, deeply wanting to do this? And once you identify that, her voice is weaker. It's still there, but it's just weaker.
Yeah. I think honestly, and this is going to be like but I'm afraid maybe if I was skinny, people wouldn't like me.
No, that's a thing. And that's something that we have to identify is like, how is either weight or lack of fitness, or even in my case, chronic pain, how is it somehow feeding you? One of the questions I ask is, what would be expected of you in the absence of it? So, or what would you lose if you suddenly were this, other person? And I think that's really a common thing to think, and so I do think that we have weird psychological ties sometimes. Weight's an easy example, but there's other things too. Lots of different wellness examples for that.
Yeah. I thought when I was single and I was dating, skinny, and then I fell in love with Rudy. And, so I think there's some of that going on, but then, like, you have your TV show, this TV show, or, you want to start telling people like, oh, I'm going to be on camera. Well, if you're really skinny and you're telling people you want to be on camera, I'm afraid people would just be like, who the hell does she think she is? Like, she's almost 50. And like, oh my gosh. And so you never wanted, in the TV world where I grew up with Barbara Walters, which is funny, right? I mean, somebody has to be eventually the person that goes on camera, but the ones that would self-proclaim like, oh, I should be on camera, you thought they were conceited.
Oh.
The ones that did better were the producers and executive producers and directors behind the scenes, where they made everybody look good, but they weren't on camera. And so, for me now, I'm wondering, so I guess this is just a little teeing us off to my wellness why.
Yeah, for sure it is.
My wellness why I'm heavier. I don't know what my wellness why would be to keep me at my ideal goal weight. We'll have to see about that. I can point out quickly what's wrong. I'm really good at that.
No, I know. And I think most of us are. Erin, when I was about 9, I grew like a Mastiff puppy. I like 6 inches in a year.
Wow.
And Mastiff puppies can't do back handstrings on the beam, and I was a competitive gymnast. So I quit. And that was okay. But what happened was my 3,000 calorie a day binging habit suddenly came out of the closet, and I put on tons and tons and tons of weight. And so by college, I was about 235 pounds. And what I realized when I kind of hit my bottom there was, the weight, it's not about the weight. The weight is a symptom of underlying things. For me, it was self-esteem. It was not knowing how to fuel my body, not understanding what food actually was, that it's not friend, that it is fuel. Understanding what fitness meant for a woman and how to work out to be truly fit, not because you want a bikini body. It was mindfulness, it was self-esteem. It was a lot of those things. And once I connected to that instead of weight up or weight down, that made a very big shift for me. And so when I was 10 pounds up or 10 pounds down, it didn't matter as much, because it's like, am I well? Am I doing the things I need to be doing to be fit and healthy? And then it became a much less emotional conversation, because fat up, fat down, that is highly emotional for women, or for anybody, but for us as women, we seem to definitely, those are triggers for us. So I think that's something that women can focus on too, is let's get our mind off the scale and let's work on what actual wellness stands for and what the foundational principles are there and how do we build on those. And, up, down, down 6, how are you feeling? Like, how are you doing otherwise?
And I will say, to your point, I'm in a much better psychological, and I'm wondering if I could have told me when I say this statement, if I could have explained this to me and it would have been received maybe last April or last winter or last holidays. But now that I'm in motion with it, even though it's not happening or I'm not releasing that weight or I still have, let's say 25 pounds more to go just to get back to where I was, which, so I'm still beating myself up, but I feel a lot healthier mentally that I'm in motion doing something other than where I was last holiday season, where I was talking about woulda, coulda, shoulda, or being of all things I hate, which are Eeyores, like, oh, must be nice to have been 100 pounds down, must be just, fit into those skinny jeans. Oh, I'm starting to have, I'm the girl that used to, and now I have 2 sections, but I used to have 3 sections in my closet. A thin, which wasn't thin, but it was my version of thin, medium, chunky. And I'd have sections of it. So finally somebody was like, well, why don't you just throw out the chunky clothes and live within? So I did that. And then I also have credit cards and I make decent money because I work really hard. And not to say people who work really hard always make decent money. Right. I'm not getting in that loop. But, but what I'm saying is, if we all can go to a store and buy clothes that are 2 sizes too big and then start hanging that up. I think we're all seeing where I'm going with that. So now I'm in those just regular clothes and they're fitting me, but like right now I'm feeling a little over the top. I'm not rocking it anytime soon, but I know I can't be the only one out there that's feeling this way.
Not at all.
It has to be more than just me. And yet so lonely feeling that when you meet somebody else that you think looks like you, or how about this? How about when you meet somebody that you don't think you look like and they're thinking they're confiding in you saying like, well, if we could just drop 50, you know what I mean? Oh, shut up. I mean, at that point I want to be like, I have glandular issues and lost 300 pounds and this is my new goal weight. Like, I just want to say tons of lies at that point, just because I can't believe I've been brought into somebody's company and yet they're just trying to be, I don't know what they're trying to be, but not cruel. But I just, I guess I want to be thin enough so nobody from my past weight or my bigger size section of my closet brings me into a little come to Jesus powwow meeting. I don't want to do that. No one talked to me about weight. I get it. So I don't know.
And
Listen,
I think,
okay. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, again, it goes back to that strategy. If we're focusing on wellness strategies that have more to do with longevity and ultimate health and life experience, then we aren't hyper focusing on the weight. And I think that's super, super important. It's a practice. It is a discipline. It takes a long time to shift to that and we still fall backwards. But I think that's a good aspiration to have for women out there who are struggling with that. Just take 30 days and just say to yourself, I am going to focus on the encourager. I'm going to look at ways to stay healthy and not focus on my weight. I'm not going to get on the scale for 30 days. I'm going to just see how I feel about myself at the end.
I could do that.
Yeah. And so I think that's something that, is an easy starting place.
Tell everyone how they can get in touch with you because we need to wrap up and this could go. I just want to talk to you until I've lost another 10 pounds. So I could keep you on the phone. We could bring in some detoxifying drinks and stuff like that. And I just sit here and we'll do slow motion camera. But in fact, my cameraman's here and we're going to do fast motion. So I'll be like, and I'll just suddenly be skinny or healthier though. So how can we
healthier
with you and start working with you?
Yeah, you bet. So my online membership program is called The Change Cave, and it's a 12-module foundational principle kind of a system that includes weekly mindsets and newscasts that come out with recipes and fitness tips. It includes lives and lots of expert wellness presenters who come and speak directly to The Change Cave. And the biggest thing is this fierce community of wellness warriors who all connect together and support each other in their goals. That I'm sure you will have a link in the show notes for that. It's called The Change Cave. But if you want to just reach out and have a conversation, I can be reached on Instagram at WellFitAndFed, Facebook on WellFitAndFed, or the website, which is also wellfitandfed.com.
I love cross-promotional branding. It's so much, not everyone does it, but Heather Denniston does. So Heather, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And everyone, thank you for tuning into That Girl from Jersey. I'm Erin Saxton, and I'll see you real soon. Have a great day.